Kia ora everyone, I'm Nigel Dravitzki. I'm District Commander Kai Whakahari Takiwa for the Manawatu Wanganui and Incident Controller. I'm pleased to be able to tell you there's been a significant improvement in the situation today thanks to the weather and as a result of the hard work of our air and ground by our firefighters and pilots. Firefighters are currently concentrated on reinforcing the containment lines on the flanks of the fire. We have aircraft available that will use them when we need them, but the focus is now on hard physical work on the ground, and we expect to be on here for several days. 8 crews of fire and emergency firefighters from Wellington, Hawke's Bay are on the ground today, alongside 7 crews from the Department of Conservation and additional volunteer firefighters from the Central Plateau Brigades. Many of our local volunteer firefighters have come forward today, as they did over the weekend. It's their whenua and they take pride and stake in protecting it. I'm pleased to say there is an improvement in the situation, which means today we're able to let the evacuated residents return home. For now, it will be residents only. That means people who run businesses from their properties cannot have clients or customers on site. We understand that it places a strain on some businesses, but we will reassess the situation again tomorrow. I also acknowledge the impact that this fire is having on iwi and the conservation estate, as well as the community, visitors and those who draw on the Tongariro National Park as their livelihood. We're working closely with the Department of Conservation, Tū Wharetoa, Police, Civil Defence, Ruapau District Council and Horizons. This is indeed a community effort. We are in constant discussion with all our partners about the next steps and how we will eventually transition management of this whenua back to its custodians, iwi and DOC. To be clear, we expect to be firefighting here for several days. There'll be lots of hard physical mop-up that is required, so it's still an active fire ground. Contingencies are in place in case the less rain is forecast, but we will be here as long as we are needed. Thank you. I'll pass over to Damien Coots from Department of Conservation.
Kia ora. Damien Coots is my name. I'll just move into mic. Kia ora koutou. Damien Coots is my name. I'm the Regional Director for Department of Conservation for Central North Island region. So we're here hand in hand with FENZ, with Civil Defence, with iwi and police in this event. Yesterday was a tough day for us, but today feels a bit better. Yesterday we lost 2,800 hectares approximately of Tongariro National Park. We've had crews in there today on the ground. We've got roughly 50 of our DOC staff in there alongside roughly the same number of FENZ and firefighters. They're on the ground. We've had our ecologists and our iwi representatives lay out fire breaks so that we can try and do as little damage as possible while we try and get this fire out. It's too early to know, because we're only just getting crews in there, exactly what the impacts will be from a biodiversity point of view. But what we do know, and what's pretty amazing, is our teams yesterday worked shoulder to shoulder and they protected Mangatapopo Road End and all of the cultural installations that have gone in there alongside Ngāti Kairo, and they protected Mangatapopo Hut. So we're in an incredibly fortunate position from a recreation point of view to have saved many of our visitor assets, but the impact on biodiversity is going to be significant. As I say, when we get teams in over the coming weeks, we'll be able to understand that more, but it's still pretty early in that journey. We do acknowledge there's been a huge impact on people that have had to be displaced, including visitors and residents in Whakapapa village. And we do know there's a lot of visitors that were in or had bookings that have had to be moved out, or people who had bookings that were due to come in the coming days. So we know there were roughly 600 people booked on the Alpine Crossing over the next week that won't be able to get in there. We know we had roughly close to 100 people booked in huts and campsites over the next couple of days that won't be able to come through on those bookings. And at this stage, we don't know when we'll be able to get those facilities open. That's probably the main things we wanted to cover off, and we'll answer questions later on. But I do just want to reinforce This has been an incredible team effort, and our teams are working side by side. Although Fens are leading the event, this is truly a team on the ground, and our people are working shoulder to shoulder to protect as much as they can. Tēnā
koutou. I just want to support everything that's been said prior to me. From the perspective of Ngāti Hikairo ki Tongariro, we are the haukainga. There have been two things that have been of prime importance to us. The well-being of our maunga, to contain any of the hurt that's happened on our whenua. And when I say our, I mean tātou. And also the well-being of the people that are here today, who are the first responders and the associate support teams that have backed them up. As Ngāti Hikairo and Haukainga, we cannot praise them enough. The effort has been a collaborative, cohesive response, and that only happens through having a history of working together, whether it's through SARS, rescuing people off the maunga, or recovery work. We all know each other, and which was part of the reason for the immediacy of the response and the cohesion of the response. So if there's a silver lining in this, it's how all of us can work together. Our marae, we have 3 marae in Ngāti Hikairo at the base of the maunga. From the get-go, from day one, those marae were open. We were taking evacuees, tourists, whoever needed shelter, and our marae are supplying food, sandwiches, for a front that's literally the whole of State Highway 47, which is 40 kilometres. And there's 4 bases along there, and it's just ensuring that the people that are working on the ground are fed. What we're doing is what all hapu do. They look after the people that come into the area, and they ensure their safety and do our best for their well-being. We do that for our whenua, and we're now doing that for the people that are engaged in this operation. So our thanks goes out to all of them, everyone that's been involved. And the maunga will recover, and it will be stronger than it was before this. Nō reira, koera.
Good afternoon. I'm Western Curtin Mayor of Ruapehu District Council, and on behalf of the Ruapehu Council, I just want to extend my heartfelt thanks to all of the agency, all the people that are connected with this tragedy that we've had in our district. It comes on top of 1 or 2 incidents we've had in recent years and months, and that is flooding, and I recall the eruption in 1995, so it's in parallel with that extent. I just want to say, though, we did reach out to central government, and Mark Mitchell has been here, Tama Potak has been here. We want to thank them for taking an interest and actually being involved directly. Also Fens for the leadership and the working with all the other agencies to ensure that our community is safe and that they are cared for. It has been a stressful few days for our community, of course. They wanted to know what is going on. They want to know what was open, what was not, whether they were going to be evacuated and the likes. So it's all been very demanding on everyone's lives, and we want to appreciate the effort that everyone's put into it. Can I say that we're a very resilient community here that will bounce back. We take it on our chin and we do what we need to do, but with our partners which are here in force, we can do it. and we can actually resolve some of the outstanding issues like restoring the monga and the tragedy that's taken place in the last day or two. When we actually repair it enough for people to come back into our community, I'm not sure, but we'll be doing our best as a collective to ensure that not only our community is safe, but that becomes a playground once more for both international and domestic tourism. So we want to welcome people back. We are open for business, and we will be continuing with our activities in and around this area. And once the roads are open, once the rahui is lifted, then we'll make sure that our community is bouncing back economically and also environmentally. But really appreciated the support we've had. We will be communicating with the community through a public meeting of sorts in due course, just to give them a briefing. We'll learn more from FENZ as to when we can actually open up the dock estate and actually move forward. But thank you very much for the opportunity. We really appreciate the media and the way they've responded to this, and we just hope that we can get on with the job and do things in a normal way. Thank you very much.
So,
Maybe if we just ask a follow-up question of FENZ.
sure. Yep. Yep.
I appreciate it's really early stages and you're still in that response phase, but is there any early indication of how this fire has started?
No, it's being investigated at the moment. We've got specialist fire investigators that are carrying that out alongside our police activities, but not at this stage.
There's been some speculation that it may have been deliberately started. Would you have any response?
No, I haven't, not until the investigation's taken out.
And just in total, how many people have been evacuated throughout the past few days?
Do you know, Brett?
No, hundreds.
About 120.
About 120, yeah, I think. Yeah, 120 people.
And where were they taken, obviously, different places?
Yeah,
Whenua has stepped up.
the whenua, yeah. Right, sorry, I don't have that answer.
Do you want me to cover that off?
Yeah, sure.
Just so in terms of evacuations, originally we had, we understand, 42 walkers. That was 14 from the hut and the residual of day walkers that were taken out of a Mangatapopo track end. We took another 10 out yesterday out of the Waihono side, so on the round the mountain track on the desert road, and then most of those were evacuated through to Whakapapa village, and then when we had to evacuate Whakapapa village last night, that's where we get the larger number. So we had that on top of about another 35 residents and visitors that were domiciled in the village.
And again, maybe if you're still one question for you, I know it's early stages again, but what's the expected impact on some of the land here, that conservation site? How long are we talking, do you think, that some of these tracks will be out for?
It's still too early to tell. As I said earlier, we're very lucky that the Mangatapopo road in and the hut escaped the fire so far, and so most of the track is actually relatively intact, and we hope therefore that both Tongariro Northern Circuit, the Tongariro Alpine Crossing and the Round the Mountain track might be able to be opened relatively quickly after FENZ give the all clear that the fire is extinguished and it's safe. However, the biodiversity recovery is going to be significantly longer given the scale of burn that's occurred.
Yeah, how upsetting is it seeing that biodiversity impact? We have quite precious native plants and wildlife throughout that space.
Yeah, so we FENZ for a lot of resource at this on behalf of all of us very early to try and minimise that damage to stop the spread, but 2,800 hectares is an incredibly large burn area inside a national park of 79,000 hectares, so the loss is significant. We were very fortunate one of those containment lines managed to stop the spread of a fire both towards Whakapapa village and the beech forest and the kiwi habitat immediately adjoining State Highway 48, so we were lucky to stop it where we did, but still it's an incredibly large area of burn, and of course it's still going out there.
How much has been lost in terms of flora?
In terms of hectareage or in terms of the values?
Yeah.
So we know the hectareage, but we don't know exactly what's been lost in there in terms of those sort of alpine shrublands and tussock plants in there. There'll be large numbers of insects that have been lost. There'll be orchid species that have been lost. There'll be bird species that have been moved out by the fire, which will be able to displace sideways, but it's going to take us weeks once we can actually get our ecologists in there to really understand that. And these sites are, the area of burns significant not just for recreation and biodiversity, but it's also incredibly sacred to iwi, and so we have been trying to navigate very carefully with Ngāti Kairo as our teams are in there, both the impact on various waikaku sites that are in there, both from the fire and even from the activity. So we've been working, our ecologists and our colleagues in Ngāti Kairo have worked with us as we've tried to plot the least damaging way to respond to this fire.
Obviously, last time you placed a rahui over a significant area. Why did you do that, and can you just talk through the significance of this area and what it means to see this place burn like this?
I think the period of the rahui has been a surprise to many, because in the affected area, and we won't determine that area until this is over, but the area that's been immediately affected by the fire, there's a rahui for 10 years. The rahui is what's called a restorative rahui. It's not one if there's been a tragedy, it's different. A restorative rahui allows people who are part of the restoration of Tongariro in that area to operate freely within that area. It just prohibits that area from being part of the commerce of Tongariro for the time being until the restoration is fulfilled. We said 10 years. Our greatest nightmare is, as you drive on State Highway 47, you'll see by the side of the road these wonderful yellow flowers that are blooming from a plant called broom. There's also blackberry and gorse. We do not want, it forces a focus on the restoration. We do not want 1,800, 2,000 hectares of what is world heritage to be covered in broom, gorse and blackberry, and by then it goes into the too hard basket. So we want the restoration to be an immediate response. There are some things that are symbolic. They're almost a paradox. They are a paradox. One of those things is that there's a guardian for that area that's represented in a pou called Te Reo. Ngāti Kairo put that pou there to protect the visitors that go on and to protect the land. You may say, well, Te Reo didn't do that good a job. However, there's always a silver lining. The area where Te Reo is still green and Te Reo is untouched and the fire is all around it. Te Reo gives us a focus to restore that land. All of us, Aotearoa, to restore it to what it was. That land was, the introduction of heather was not a good thing for Tongariro. And the introduction of heather was so that people could hunt, bring in pheasants, and it reminds them of Scotland. A large part of that heather's gone now.
Sure.
And one thing, just to put a figure on it, but how contained is the fire now? Obviously, we've had a lot of outbreaks of rain.
Yeah.
Do you imagine aerial assault will continue?
Yeah, so at the moment, the head of the fire, or the front of the fire, is actually extinguished, and what we've got is two sides of the fire, and they're called flanks. And we've got, alongside the dock crews, and the crews are working behind dozers to go along those and establish containment lines which go about 30 metres into the black, which means that gives us some assurance that those containment lines will work. there was a figure of 20% contained. We haven't been able to validate that because we haven't been able to get in the air so far today. But in what we have observed, there's a significant decrease in active fire activity. Yeah.
I guess it might be possible till tomorrow to be able to fully have a look from the aerials.
Yeah, well, as soon as this cloud lifts and we can get, we will start some area. We've gone from probably what would be classed in an offensive aerial attack to a more offensive ground attack. So we're doing a lot more groundworks, but we will still supplement that with aerial support. So yeah, we'll be in there, and like I say, it will be a long duration.
Thank you, Nigel. We've got time for one more question. How much did the mist help, the rain help today?
Certainly helps because it brings all those indices down to a point, and of course any rain is good. But there's a number of factors, like there's no wind. Wind plays a huge role in this. A lot of the species that was flammable to burn also absorbs moisture really quickly, so it's sort of a double-edged sword there. So yeah, it's certainly been beneficial. We're looking at the long-term forecast. There might be a little bit future, but it certainly has helped us.
Can I just say one quick one?
Sure.
Whakatara residents are going home today. Do you know when businesses there could operate? Could it be tomorrow?
We're going to review that tomorrow. We'll review it as within 24 hours. So,
24 hours.
yeah.
And sorry, some of the roads that are still currently closed, you could imagine they'll be closed at all.
Yep, we've got police checkpoints 24/7 on 47-48 intersection and on 47-46 as well. They're there to support mana whenua. We want to welcome back home haukaina so they can return to their whare, but that's residents only. And so the police will be on those checkpoints to make sure it's residents only returning home to look after their land and their buildings.
And so those roads might be closed for...
Same, we'll reassess in 24 hours,
Yeah.
make an assessment around the fire, and police are here to support fire in that respect, and the mayor and the communities.